Hi, I'm Niklas Hallin and this is the Neckbot vlog. Today it's time to finish up and conclude this little mini-series on character design. I know I've been saying some weird and maybe even controversial things over the last few weeks. If I were a woman saying these things, the internet would eat me alive. And I mean, it's not like you have to agree with me, it's not like I'm some sort of ultimate authority in these matters, but if you could at least see my point, that'd be cool. And it has been a strange experience for me too. I'm not used to being this critical of other people's work, or at least not this public with my criticism. So to top this off, I thought I'd talk a little bit about character design that I really like and games that I thought have done a really good job. So I pondered long and hard, trying to come up with really exceptional character design, and eventually I ended up with Warhammer Online, of all things.
Warhammer Online obviously has the advantage that they are just building on the meticulous design work already laid down by the tabletop game, but I really do think this is a very good work. Let's start by talking about substance. This, for instance, is very much a dwarf. There's no doubt about it. It doesn't matter if it's an engineer or a rune priest or whatever. It doesn't even matter if it's a man or a woman, because below all that it is undoubtedly a dwarf. And this follows through in their architecture as well. Throughout this game you can clearly see which of the 6 races or factions built the settlement you're in. And look at this orc, also very clear substance. This is not just a muscular green human with big teeth. Even their skeletal and cranial structure is different from humans. And just as the dwarves, their armor and gear has a very clear style. No other race could don an orc armor with a straight face. As for weakness, we can start by looking at these poor bastards. They are sickly and malnourished, and they cast spells by sacrificing their own blood and flesh. This was the class that attracted me the most when I was playing, but then I am a bit weird. But we can also head back to the orcs again. Sure, they are muscular, they are strong, they are physically imposing. But look at the armor, it's just random pieces of scrap metal bolted together. The greenskins, they try so hard to keep up technologically with the other peoples of this world, but they just don't have the sophistication to build anything that lasts. From weapons to armor to cities and forts, everything they create has to be constantly repaired and rebuilt. So weakness doesn't necessarily have to mean just making a small innocent child in a big scary world. There is lots of room for creativity. Now let's head over to the other game I wanted to mention, namely Transistor by Supergiant. And let's just look at this picture for a little while, because this is beautiful. There are actually 2 characters here, the girl and the sword. Let's start with the sword, which by the way has a consciousness and talks throughout the game, which is why I treat it as a character and not as a prop. First off, obviously not a mammal. As for substance, it is a sword, but at the same time it is also kind of a USB memory stick, which brings me to a point about substances. So I have absolutely nothing against mixtures. Your character's substance doesn't have to be just one clear thing. You can mix stuff all you like. The more far-fetched and surprising, the better. But each individual component still needs to have a clear and well-defined substance, such as a sword and a memory stick. Now for the girl. She is a mammal, and a human for that matter, but the kind of human she is a Gatsby-era scene performer and flapper, which is pretty damn specific. As for weakness, she has just lost her voice, and since she is a professional singer, that is not just limiting her abilities in the present, but it is also delightfully ironic. So this beautiful singer, who has never had to fight in her whole life, is now suddenly unable to speak and has to go out all alone and fight off a robot apocalypse. I think that's pretty good. And on that note, let's look at today's Wednesday's report. I've been making more rooms in Acorn Woods, and I've added exploding dynamite. It turns out I now have over 100 unique scenes in the game. Not all of them are puzzle rooms, but it looks like I will have created over 100 puzzles when I'm done with this. In other news, it has now been publicly announced that I will head to Stugan this summer. together with 20 other indie developers and work on my game there. Check out this linked video to see the other teams. That's all for today's episode, but stay tuned for next week when we leave character design behind for now and get back to that elephant game I said I was working on. If you want to, you can subscribe to this devlog series on Patreon or directly on YouTube, and you can follow me on Twitter for quick updates. Thank you, and I will see you next time.
At least notice this.